Hello, everyone. So, welcome today for our today's YouTube. Hello, everyone. Welcome to CyberDost Live today. And today we have a very special session, which is more like a parent-teacher meeting, but a unique kind of where we have a parent, a teacher, and a student. But today's session is not going to be centered around one student or their complaints or their appreciations, but majorly around how we are evolving together in online ecosystem. And for that, we have Mrs. Soumya, Mrs. Alpha, and Misha Singh with us, who will be giving us their insights on what is it that they have come across, and the student who's always a part of the online world, the parent who's always trying to just pace up with what's happening, and the teacher who's trying to create a good balance between the two. So the first problem that we have is the fake accounts and online identity theft. So, Misha, my first question goes to you. How many fake accounts have you seen or have heard about in your life or amongst your peers?
I have seen a lot of fake accounts. I have seen people have 2 or even 3 fake accounts just to stalk other people or post anonymously. And then there are catfish accounts, pretending to be someone from school or using your random profile pictures or DM people.
So, how do you usually identify? You must be receiving a lot of requests. How do you identify which one is an impersonated or a fake account? Do you have some tactics that you would like to share?
Yeah. So once the follow request is sent, I can see mutuals. So if more of my friends are following the same account, then it's easier to check if it's real or fake.
Okay, so ma'am, Alpha ma'am, my next question is for you. When your child creates any, let's say, any new account or downloads a new app or starts kind of new profile, are you able to check that? And have you ever been able to trace that? What kind of app they're using, what kind of accounts they're creating, where they are available?
So, yes, I am able to check, but I don't really check all the time because my daughter, she's just gone from teenage to an adult. So we share a kind of a bonding where we trust each other and we do keep checking like so these days kids do need a logic to everything. So, Mama, what are you doing and what are you doing as a child? If I ask her, I have to tell her like what things are going. So it goes both mutual, but I would say that sometimes when we are offline, when we are going for walks, when we are talking, I do keep checking in terms of what is the content that she's doing, what app she is using. Having said that, not 100% is as a parent, you get to know what the kids are doing because now virtual space is a part of a life now.
But like we say that, one thing is building the bond and another thing is the threats that are coming across. So are you able to check that and are you okay with the kind of exposure that the child is getting, especially at such a young age?
So you cannot, as I said, that, now is the world, privacy is now a part of a natural growing these days. So you stop that from being in the digital world. Having said that, you can still be checking in your own way. And I do check what apps she is using. Keep reminding her not to share personal data, not to share any most importantly, not to share any photographs. As a parent, that's a check that I keep doing. So exposure is important, but exposure mindfully is something that we do have healthy discussions as a family. It's a part of a process. So we do have a lot of discussions in terms of creating that awareness, of course, with logic. You have to put in a logic, and Misha has very rightly put in to find out a way. I quite like the idea of looking at mutual connections to see. I'm sure my daughter knows that, but as a parent, it's a very good way of checking how many mutual friends you do have. So I don't know all the accounts that they do have, but point to be noted. Thanks, Misha.
So, Soumya ma'am, my next question comes to you. You must have come across a lot of students going through the similar situations where they're becoming a part of the scams that are happening online, especially around the fake accounts and online identity. So, what is it that the schools or educators are doing to inform students about it, and how are they able to tackle the situations when they come across?
Well, that's a very pertinent question, Ruchi. So, as educators, we recognize that today's students are digital natives, often navigating online platforms with very little ease. But what I personally feel is they don't do that with critical awareness. And that's where I feel our role is to ensure that they're equipped not just with access but with discernment. So, as a school, I feel that it is very important that we include digital citizenship as a part of our formal and informal curriculum. And in
To
our
become
school,
part of formal curriculum?
yes, as a formal and informal curriculum both, because that helps students to open themselves up to conversations. So even and we don't do that to middle school students or senior school students, but we have started doing that with primary level students also, where we teach them how to recognize suspicious or fake accounts, understand what information is safe to share online, like Miss Panda just said, that do not share your pictures. And as parents are really as parents, they're rightly concerned. They have their concerns that our children shouldn't be sharing pictures online. The algorithms are working in very different ways today. So, and respond appropriately when they encounter red flags. And this happens especially in senior school. When there's a trend, and I'm sure Misha will agree with me when I'm saying that students, especially senior school students, they create those confession pages on social media. So essentially, it's very important that you respond to such situations. So for that, we even have a cyber security cell in school where these confidential reports can be reached and we can, act upon it. Because it's very important to emphasize on the idea that not everyone online is who they claim to be. And we want to help children verify identities by checking usernames, profile authenticity, and behavior patterns also. To do this, we regularly invite cyber safety experts and law enforcement professionals in our school to conduct interactive sessions, which helps foster open conversations, which I feel is very, very important. In this entire quest of safety, we really need to understand that safety isn't about surveillance anymore. It is so much about trust and conversations. So through these, cyber safety experts, we conduct sessions not only for children but for parents also, because I feel that every parent is not as aware as they seem to be or as we feel. So as a school, it is our responsibility that we educate the parent also along with the child. So these are some of the initiatives that schools do take, and as an educator, we do follow these practices in our organization.
So, ma'am, since most recently these practices must have started implementing, I just wanted to understand, is there any kind of, improvisation or any kind of more engagement from the students or the parents that you have observed in the institutions post these practices enablement, and any
Yes.
kind of changes that you might like to share that you've come across?
Yes. So when we very recently, we came up with a cyber security committee in our school. And that cyber security committee is created at various levels. So, and like I said, specifically senior school students. So a lot of children, who face that kind of a humiliation, they've seen memes, or they have seen confession pages which don't rightly speak about each other, and sometimes teachers also come across, because they speak a lot about teachers as well. So when these things are brought out to the committee, we as committee, and having our teachers and having our IT experts in place, it is very easy for us to find out how this has been created, and we do navigate a way to reach to the child. And that is when we have conversations and children on one-to-one basis. So when these kind of practices evolved, students around were able to understand that how detrimental can this be on someone's mental health. So definitely these things have helped us to create awareness and push down cases, not reaching a stage where matters are escalated.
Thank you so much, Soumya ma'am. Alpha, Mishra, if there's anything else that you would like to add on this particular fake accounts and online identity theft that you might have come across or something that might have helped you out.
No, I think Soumya ma'am shared something very in terms of I mean, since things are evolving and there's great effort of deal going on at school level, I think it's a very good step in terms of taking and making them aware of uh, the platforms, making them aware of the helpline. Sometimes I also feel that they are not very open sometimes and get very closed, and very rightly pointed by some ma'am that not every parent is having that kind of a trust, not everybody is able to. So the children should be aware of there are other helplines, there are other platforms to reach out for any sort of help that is required, or to be even aware of the fake accounts. If we don't know, we should know about it. And I think that's a good point to be shared it with other parents also. As a parent, it's a good discussion in terms of sharing those points with others.
Because it's very important, I would like to mention here that, as adults, as parents, we really need to be co-learners in this space now.
Right.
And why I'm saying that we need to be co-learners in this space, because children, when they're in their teenage towards their youth, they have their own apprehensions, they have their own perspectives, they have their own mindsets. And they are in that age where, they think that, we know it all. And because it comes as a fact that parents may not be that digitally aware, so sometimes they feel कि मम्मी को समझ नहीं आएगा, पापा समझेंगे नहीं. And there are many unfortunate cases, that happen. They may not happen in my immediate surrounding or in my immediate space, but if I look at a larger spectrum, it does happen, right? So children feel hesitant reaching out to their teachers. They feel hesitant reaching out to their parents, which is why I feel the most important thing that as teachers, as parents, we need to do is we need to become co-learners in this space. And we must encourage our children to speak to us, have dialogues, so that, we're able to guide them at a very, very beginning of the stage, so that nothing looks like a restriction, but whatever they are doing is done in complete moderation and safety.
Agreed. Rightly said. Rightly said. So I think we can conclude this particular part by a small conclusion tip, which also suggests that, be aware of the real world, of the profiles that do not have real world links, and make sure that you stay away from the fake accounts, because they're not just being used for scams, but also for impersonation, for stalking. And if in case you ever come across, make sure that even if you suspect that an account is fake, make sure to report it to cybercrime.gov.in. And if in case you ever get caught by it, then make sure that you can call on 1930 as well. So the next problem, which is another important problem, is the online exposure and identity theft. So, Misha, the first question will definitely come to you, being the target audience for this particular area. Do you actually post your pictures publicly, or do you have a private account?
My account is private, and I'm really careful about who I let follow me. But even then, it's not like I feel 100% safe. People can still screenshot, share, or even save your pictures without you knowing. I do post personal photos sometimes, like birthdays, outings, memories. But yeah, I've started thinking a lot more about who might be watching. Privacy settings do help, but they're obviously not bulletproof.
So do you have any filters that are in your head before you download an application or start using something, or check for the review settings and any kind of privacy settings that are available on the application? Do you actually check that if the account or the application is verified, and how do you make sure of that?
Yeah, I don't just randomly download apps anymore. I actually have antivirus on my phone. So if anything sketchy comes, it alerts me right away. But even with that, I still check permissions, because why does a photo editing app need access to my location and contact? That's very suspicious. And even if an app wants to access my mic or camera for no reason at all, then that's an immediate no. I also scroll through reviews, and not just the 5-star ones. I check what people are complaining about, especially if they mention security or weird app glitches.
That's a very smart move at such a young age that you are taking. So, ma'am, Alpha, ma'am, my next question would come to you that you're like you already mentioned that your child is just turning into teenage. She's had the digital exposure at a very young age. How comfortable were you with her getting exposed to this era at such an early age, and how did you pace up with that? How did you cope up with that?
Frankly, number of arguments. Uh, Initially, lot of arguments, and as I said, that we have a good trust, but it's slowly developed. One thing is very important is having to be non-judgmental about certain things when it comes to digital world, or I mean posting something. The exposure at this early age was bound to happen, but in terms of talking, in terms of creating awareness, has really helped. And I'm getting to learn so many things from Nisha actually, to how to do those privacy settings and checking a lot of things. So yes, there were concerns, but much better now.
So, ma'am, have you allowed your daughter, or do you think any other parent would allow their daughter to post things publicly, which is now becoming very common? That's why the identity is being stolen. Because every time you post something, it's live online, and every other person who might be watching you can actually trace your location from wherever you are, and that's how from a simple post of enjoying something becomes a threat. So, how
Right.
comfortable or how okay are you with them posting things online, and have you actually stopped them from making sure that their account is private? Have you ever been able to take that kind of care?
Yes, I there has been. I mean, it's quite a lot of awareness that goes to, as ma'am said, that awareness in school, awareness in their peer group, discussion in their peer groups, incidents in the peer groups. They are pretty much well aware of having private accounts. And as far as my daughter, she also has a private account. And to my knowledge, all her friends mostly have private accounts. They do not have public accounts. They are also very well aware of posting pictures where they are not facing, they're facing back, and they have come up with their creative ideas. So it's good to know that they are being aware of both the facts in terms of what to be exposed and what not to be. But a healthy discussion, having discussed about the pros and cons of what it is. So they only have for them, they only have few years of experience. For us, the difference is we have many years of experience. That's where you come in as a parent. That's where you try to explain them things with a better logic. So safer that way as of now. But to our other parents, that's where we need to check on.
Thank you so much, Alpha ma'am. Now Soumya ma'am. Another thing I wanted to ask, you've been talking about that a lot of security awareness measures have been taken by school, and you've been trying to build a system where kids can report. But are there any kind of security protocols that are being taken? For instance, क्या हम कोई VPN filters या app restrictions भी है जो school में enable कर रहे हैं? And if there's any kind of thing or any example that you would like to share that you might have come across?
Sure. So I think all of us are in a time when personal data is more valuable than a currency. And schools in that case play a very proactive role in securing the digital environment. So we take several measures to minimize the student exposure to online risk. Like you said, examples. So we do have content filters and firewalls, and they help us restrict access to harmful websites and unauthorized platforms. Because, when children have access to the digital space in the school, they have access to everything. So these kind of filters we have, then we do monitor our devices and our LMS platforms also. So, and now that we are in a very AI driven world, so we are trying to have our monitors, our devices and LMS platforms, monitored using AI backend learning systems. So it gives only a vetted content. And also we have app installation restrictions. So school devices that we have, we have centrally managed that we do not let any child download any app. For example, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. They can't access this on the school devices. Only educational tools are downloaded. But one more thing which is very important here is, so there was a McAfee report in 2023 which said that almost 60% of teenagers, globally download apps without reviewing their permission requests, making them vulnerable to data exploitation. So it is not just about having a private account or a account public, or what kind of photographs you're posting, but the applications that we download, and as adults also, I mean, this data is about teenagers, but as adults also, a lot of time we do not read the terms and conditions, we do not read behind the lines, we do not read the privacy policies, and we just go ahead with the you know downloading a lot of applications. So that is one thing which is very important. So like I said in my previous conversation also, that digital literacy is embedded in the fabric of our curriculum. There we teach children, how to check app permissions, how to disable unnecessary location sharing also, then reading privacy policies and understand the risk of oversharing. So these are some very important things that our children and our parents, like I said, they need to understand. So these workshops that we do with them, the sessions that as IT teachers or in cross curricular teachers do in schools, we ensure that our children learn these things and they do it hands on. Because every time because a lot of times, if you will read, when you're using an app, it says give permission for XYZ app to have access to your camera. So the moment you're doing that, you're letting that app take complete control over your gallery, whatever is there. I'll give
Very
you
rightly said, ma'am.
Exactly. Now, I'll give you a small example, and this is a very interesting thing that I observed the other day. So, WhatsApp, when we use earlier, WhatsApp had the facility that you can save anybody's profile picture. But today, if you click on WhatsApp and if you click on somebody's profile picture, of course, you do not have the option to save it. But if you try and take a screenshot, it does not let you take a screenshot. You take a screenshot and it says that the screenshot is disabled. So firstly, these things need to happen. Another very importantly that I want to mention here is that, our children need to understand that what are they sharing and to what extent are they sharing, where are they sharing. So these are certain things at school where we actually give our children hands-on experience. Even when they download, even if we let them download a game, we tell them to read. That very recently, whenever we are using certain apps, it says allow app to track and allow app not to track. Now usually people say ki let it track, but whereas it is not supposed to, because you are indirectly, you're giving access of your system to a third party, or a third party resource or a third party organization. So these are certain things which are very well taught in school, like I said, not only to children but to parents, because parent orientation is very important. Because these kind of things, in a very technologically driven world today, even children will not understand. Children are tech savvy, but they're not aware. And awareness for a 13-year-old, awareness for a 17-year-old for that matter, cannot come let alone by these systems. They come in with orientations, which we do in our school, along with these restrictions that I just spoke about.
So, Soumya ma'am, Mishra, my major question would be to you two. Have you guys ever come across amongst your friends, your peers, or your students any past experience where a person has been a part of this, has been exposed to such a threat, and if there was any kind of measure that was taken, how did that person come out of it? आप कोई experience जो आपने
Yeah. So honestly speaking, within the system where I work, no, I haven't received any such thing. But yes, I did. I did come across an incident some time ago. Where somebody's phone was stolen. Somebody's phone was stolen, and because the phone had its location shared, so it was a pros and cons both. Because the location was shared, we were able to track where the phone could be found. So that is, of course, a pro. But at the same point in time, when you when you do not disable unnecessary location sharing, it actually creates a problem, because if there are hackers, there is no ethical hacking for that matter. So hackers are able to access your, just with the fact that your location is shared, they're able to access where you are, they're able to even access your financial details also. And someone in that regard, while they were looking for their phone, had lost a lot of money also. So we had to actually report to the cyber cell, and we had to get the whole thing reported, and a lot of things, a lot of procedures and protocols were followed. So these are certain things which needs to be really looked into. So with the smartphones, I think we need to be smarter individuals.
Definitely. Mishra, you seem like you want to say something. You've been wanting. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's like one of my friends. One of my friends, she was talking to one of this. She got a DM, and then when she was checking her Instagram account, so she thought that it was her classmate, but turns out it was someone completely different. And she didn't want to tell her parents also, but they both started talking, and she didn't want to tell her parents because she thought they'd blame her. So I helped her block him, but then still, and then we even saved screenshots of it. And then we reached out to this online helpline together. And that really made me realize how many teens go through this quietly because they are more scared of getting punished by their parents rather than getting help. But then, this experience is different, and it was nice.
Which is, and it's scary as well to
Yeah,
know
yeah, it's very
when you
scary.
be a part
Especially,
of it.
yeah.
So let's conclude this particular session by just letting our audience know that please, please, please make sure that you check your app permissions, do not share your location, and if possible, just disable it. जितना हो सके कोई भी ऐप डाउनलोड करने से पहले कोई भी परमिशन शेयर करने से पहले 10 बार पढ़े. And coming on to our next problem, which is also trending at this point of time and is somehow the hot topic, even though a most sensitive one, is the dating scams and the peer pressure that you're coming across. So, Misha, starting with you, are you using any dating app?
No, no, no. I'm not old
And
enough to use any dating.
that's good because these days kids are. And have you ever heard of anyone who's become a part of it and has actually been tricked or cashified because of taken out, stolen away their cash from just through the dating scams?
None of my friends, but I think there's this incident which happened. I think it's very popular also. So, like this one girl, she got scammed because there was this guy who pretended to be someone completely different, and then he asked her to meet him, and then I think something happened. I think it got violent, and then eventually police had to come interfere.
So in these scams, in fact, there have been incidents where a person is just called for a meeting, and the person is actually they take them to places where they ask for a lot of money. They make sure that a lot of bill comes on them, which they have commission. So it's a part of the big scam. So Alpha ma'am, the next question comes to you. Are you aware that the student at an age as early as 13 or 14 have started using dating apps? So what would, as a parent, what would you advise to them, and how would you make sure that you prevent your kid from being a part of such a thing, because it's very young for them to even know before they get scammed?
Yeah. So yes, I'm aware that there are dating apps, and kids are getting, as you said, that it's a whole world, and they are getting exposed to it. As a parent, my recommendation is it's way too early for to understand anything, like as mentioned, in terms of there are imposters, there are so many things happening. But alternatively, we can look into for them to be getting engaged in other groups, probably not dating apps, but there are other groups to get engaged. And as a parent, I feel we have a lot of responsibility here, because we do have arguments in terms of no screen time, but what am I doing as a parent to use that particular time for her to be away from the screen? Am I engaging there am I using the time? So as a parent, I will share something personal of mine. Is like it really helped when my during my daughter being in that vulnerable age for while going for long walks in the evening, using her time for long walks together or late night walks. We have a common time of late night walks. Me adjusting to her choice of songs sometimes so that I am up to date with her. That has really helped in terms of having those unconventional conversations, engaging them in terms of what's happening in their lives, how can I make them feel better. But yes, no to dating apps at that vulnerable age is what I I strongly feel.
Agreed. It's very scary. They're too immature to even understand. So, Soumya ma'am, you must have heard a lot of students, talking about using dating apps and maybe getting exposed to certain kind of scams, or maybe secretly using things, making sure that, their parents don't get to know about it. That's when they try to hide it in the school. So, have you ever come across such incidents? Or,
So, Ruchi, I would be very honest. I haven't come across an incident like this, but yes, conversations do happen. They do grow up, especially in middle and senior grades. Students are getting exposed to online dating cultures through apps, games, or even social media direct messages. I mean, I was really surprised a couple of weeks ago. I came across, somebody showed me that, you know, Netflix has certain games which are which are similar to online dating cultures. And I mean, that was quite a surprise to me as an adult. So with students, it may not always be an open conversation, to be honest, but there are whispers, there are shared screenshots, there are private chat groups, and which indicate growing of digital intimacy, to be very honest. And as educators, we take this very seriously, not to shame, but to create safe spaces where students feel heard, guided, and protected. And all of us know that during adolescence, children do seek validation and connection. And online platform offer this very instantly to them.
Yeah.
But at the same point in time, they don't understand that it leaves them vulnerable to emotional manipulation, inappropriate advances from strangers, requests for secrecy, photos, and personal details, and that can become very difficult and problematic for parents and children. So to all of this, we respond. Like I said, we haven't had such encounters, but since these things are brewing up and we want to be prepared for the future, so we respond to such situations and we respond to such criticalities, by embedding age appropriate modules on online relationships with life skills and value education, teaching terms like grooming, gaslighting, emotional coercion to students to recognize manipulation. So these are certain things which we want to do. And we also create peer-led safe circles, where there are anonymous discussions that happen so that, children can discuss it. About this topic, more I can say is that it's very important to have open conversations so that, our children can speak without any without receiving judgment and support.
agreed. And as rightly said by Soumya ma'am, that emotional manipulation is where it starts, and also the fake identity. So, to our audience, if in case anyone's asking you for money, any kind of private pictures, photos, or expecting meetings or any such thing at even in the first or second meet, make sure that you're going to get trapped. So beware and be safe. Thank you so much for joining us. And it was great having you. I think Soumya ma'am dropped off because of certain connection issues, but it was great having you all here. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's get together again for another session where we can get more into all the other kinds of online threats that our teenagers are getting exposed to. There is a lot more to this topic than we can cover in one particular session. So, namaskar. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with all of you.
Yes.